Positioning a 1,750-pound Anyang Power Hammer with a truck winch. William Hovey Smith, 2019. I'm the owner of a knife company, Hovey's Knives of China. And what we did is we went back to China some 3,000 years ago, when China had the most advanced civilization in the world. And we took inspiration from bronze cooking knives, and we now make them in central Georgia out of modern carbon and stainless steels. I'm also an author. The author of 18 books, mostly outdoor titles, but also including a business book, Create Your Own Job Security, that advocates that you start your own business wherever, whenever, at any age, when you need some money. Yeah, you can do that. My latest work is Father of the Grooms. Now, this is a novel I'm writing right now, and I'm publishing it actually in chapter form. Its general plot is that a family of Sicilian origin has two sons, and they have had marital difficulties and can't seem to be or stay married, and Dad decides it's time to have some grandkids. So he suggests that they take a family vacation to Sicily, and accompanied by their gay hairdresser uncle and also their sister. And they go in hopes of meeting some members of their family that they've not seen for 3 generations, and perhaps some nice Sicilian girls. Well, the Sicilian side of the family takes this a bit more seriously. In fact, they are informed when they arrive on Monday that the weddings have been arranged and they will take place on Friday. This is Hovey Smith, the Backyard Sportsman, and we're about to do desperate things with my Anyang Power Hammer here. What we're going to do is we're going to lift it a couple of inches, move it off a dolly, set it down on a concrete floor. We're going to do this with our truck winch, which is 40 feet in that direction. And I'll show you how we rigged it. You'll notice there are 2 things coming from the winch: the cable itself and this extremely long power cord, which I had spliced up so I could actually run the control unit all the way from inside the shop next door to the machine. So when I get it lifted, I can actually sort of push the power hammer around and lower it or raise it very, very slightly as I need to. We're going to solve the problem of having too much tackle up there to actually lift it by using a heavy rope. And this is the rope. And we have every reason to believe it's strong enough because it has in fact lifted the power hammer before, and it's the biggest rope I have access to. You can see now how very little room we have to work with, but now this will give me a couple of inches that I can pull, and we have a very simple overhand knot in that eye bolt on top of the power hammer, and then running down, connecting to a loop to the hook, which of course is connected to our cable to the winch. I'm now going to take up the excess slack on the winch and then go inside where I can see and better control the pull. Everything is looking good at this moment, so we shall see. Well, moved it a little more toward the center on the dolly, rolled it on the dolly a little bit. The rope failed. And on our dead man here, that put a lot of stress on it, and as you can see, it did not fail from breaking, but it did bend. The other one did just fine. As you will recall, we had some trauma with our anchor bolt there, and what we're going to do is we're going to use a longer bolt, and we're going to set it with a compound called rockite, and this you mix up like you would a putty, and it is a quick setting cement so far as concrete is concerned, and so we're going to go ahead and do that. Now, in preparation for actually mixing it up and resetting the bolt itself, they recommend you use air and flush out the hole. So we're going to do that. Thirsty down there. And brush out the hole. And wash it out again, because it actually went down to mineral soil there. So you get as clean a hole as you can. So we're going to leave it just like that. Since the rope failed, I'm going to fabricate a cable sling, as you can see here. And one thing I'm going to use, since I do not have very much space up there, are these vice grips to compress the cable together this way. That way I can get the cable clamp started. And then use the nut driver here to quickly and rapidly set them whilst I'm climbing up on the top of the machine, because I do not have room up there to put another set of hooks or anything else to hoist that hammer. I'm going to have to wrap the cable around it and put in 2 cable clamps. And now I'm going to set the second clamp. Now, without using mechanical aids, there's absolutely no way I could have done this up there on the top of the machine. I could not initially get these smaller cable clamps to clamp up as I wish them to up there. So I'm going to go ahead and use this large one as a slave so I can get the pieces of cable closer together and actually be able then to thread on the nuts and tighten up. This had been in my miscellaneous parts box for years and had frozen and tightened up, but as you see, I've got them where I can tighten them by hand now by putting some WD-40 on them, by running the nuts up and down for a few times. We've made some modifications that will hopefully ease the work. The use of that old clamp, the larger one down at the bottom, enabled me to gather up the cable flat enough that I could get the smaller clamps on it. And actually it's the smaller clamps that more nearly fit the size of the cable that are actually going to do most of the work. Now, we also removed our pulley, and we're going to run it directly through the eye. This gives us a little more room, so we're sure that we can raise it enough to physically lift it off the dolly, which is, well, needs to be an inch or so from now. So that will allow sufficient room to do that. And the cable is long enough to allow us to lower it an additional 6 inches down to the ground before it impinges on that round eye hook. After re-cementing our dead man down to the floor again with that anchor cement and letting it sit for 24 hours, and with the installation of our new hoist cable and clamps on top of the machine, we are now ready to attempt another hoist. The critical thing is, are those clamps going to hold? The pull is actually moving the truck rather than hoisting the machine. I blocked up the truck again, and we're going to give it a little more attention here. We're going to give our truck winch some help with 2 external jacks. I've got a 4x4 and a piece of 1x under one of the lift points that's the nearest I can get to the center of gravity to the machine. And we're going to hoist it up as much as we can with the truck winch, and then use the 2 jacks to actually lift it off the dolly. Cinch up that with the truck winch when they do, then remove the jacks, remove the dolly, and then lower it down on the floor. It's a little more cockeyed than what I would want, but maybe I can work with it that way. And now I'll work on the little red one over here. Okay, it looks like it's clear in part on that side. One more click on this side. All right, I think we've done it. And now ever so carefully move that dolly out from underneath. Now we'll relax pressure on the jacks, and it should stay suspended as it is. Okay, got that done. Check all our connections and fastenings. They look good there. There's no sign of any slippage or movement, so we're in good shape. So we're going to see if we can rotate it and pull those out now from the other direction. Okay, that done. Machine is acting fine. Straighten it up a little bit. I think I'm going to need a little more slack to do that. I'm inserting its base plate now. And it is down. We have been successful. I am gratified beyond words to see my power hammer on its base on the concrete and sitting here proudly in the middle of the crib. Now I still have work to do. We have concrete bolts to shoot into the bottom. We have the top to lift off and the bottom to fill with sand. So we still got some things going on here. But this major task of doing the crib and getting it in here and having everything hang together while I hoisted it and loaded it and fiddled with it and jacked it, etc., 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 did good. There are no signs of any failure in any of the equipment. We did get a pull-out here in the floor again, but not nearly so bad as before. And we're going to need the same eye pull when we remove the top half of the hammer to install the sand. We're going to call this day done. And we've accomplished a lot, and we have more to do. And in the next episode, we're actually going to lift the shroud off the belt drive to the compressor and shoot in the concrete anchors and put those in with the same rockite cement that you saw used in this episode. But now, this is Hovey Smith, reminding you to hunt what you eat and eat what you hunt. Be legal, be ethical, be safe, goodbye, God bless, see you in the movies, and see you next time. Here are some of the 80-odd patterns that we produce at Hovey's Knives of China. And we're also making up a special knife for the movie based on an ancient Sicilian pattern that hasn't been seen for 1,000 years. In the first 7 chapters of Fathers of the Grooms, we've introduced many of the characters that will appear, and I'm now writing a chapter on Luigi the Claw. Now, Luigi is a member of the Sicilian Mafia. He's retired now, and he has taken up painting. And what he is painting is a heroic-size painting of the death of Archimedes. It's one of his granddaughters and a similar age cousin that he has raised that are being offered as brides. Not just any cable clamps will do on any size of cable. Now, when putting together a sling, use the correct size clamps and check them when you do the lifting. For more information on my books, blogs, and more than 750 videos, including 5 previous ones on this machine, you can go to my website, www.hoveysmith.com. For information on Hovey's Knives of China, go to hoveysknivesofchinablog.co. For information on my novel and to find out how you can participate and get chapters as I write them, go to fatherofthegrooms.net. Good hunting and good eating from the outdoors. Goodbye and God bless. See you in the movies.